Silence is often misunderstood. Many people think that if you're quiet, you're weak. That if you're not speaking up constantly, you're not confident. But the truth is, silence, when used with intention, is one of the most powerful tools a person can possess. Think about the most impactful individuals you've seen in your life. They're rarely the ones who are the loudest in the room. They're calm, composed, and they speak only when necessary. When they do talk, people listen. Why? Because their silence gives weight to their words. It's not about the quantity of what they say, but the quality. They don't need to explain themselves or seek validation. They let their energy, their presence, and their results do the talking. In a world that glorifies oversharing and constant noise, choosing to remain silent is a form of discipline. It's self-constraint. When you resist the urge to respond to every comment, every bit of gossip, or every piece of drama, you reclaim your power. You show that your emotions are not easily manipulated and that you don't operate from impulse. You operate from intention. Silence also creates space. It allows you to think, to plan, to listen. It gives you clarity. While others are reacting, you're observing, you're learning, you're sharpening your mind and preserving your energy for things that actually matter. There's a certain mystery and strength in someone who doesn't reveal everything. People start to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning. That curiosity, that's power. So don't be afraid to sit back, stay quiet, and move smart. Because in the silence, that's where the real work begins. And when the time comes, your silence will break with something undeniable. Focus is what separates those who drain from those who achieve. In a world full of noise, distractions, and constant comparison, the ability to lock in on your own path is a superpower. When you focus on yourself, your goals, your growth, your purpose, you start to move differently. You stop worrying about who's watching, who's ahead, or who's talking. You begin to understand that your only competition is who you were yesterday. True focus means tuning out the noise, even when it's loud. It means saying no to the things that don't serve you, even if they're tempting. It's easy to get caught up in trends, in social media, in what everyone else is doing. But when you're locked in, none of that matters. You're not distracted by other people's timelines because you know your journey is your own. You're not trying to impress anyone because you're too busy becoming the best version of yourself. This kind of focus requires discipline. It means waking up with intention, not just scrolling through life. It means putting in work when no one is clapping for you. It's showing up even when you're tired, even when motivation runs low. Because focus isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about creating it every single day. The people who truly win in life are not necessarily the smartest or the loudest or the most popular. They're the ones who stay consistent, who keep their eyes on their vision and don't let distractions pull them away. When you focus deeply and consistently, you begin to separate yourself, not just from others, but from the version of you that settles. That's how you rise. That's how you grow. And that's how you become unstoppable. There's something powerful about letting your results speak for you. In a time where everyone wants to be seen, where people are quick to announce every move they make, there's a rare kind of strength in staying quiet and letting your success do the talking. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth when you're showing it through your actions. You don't need to explain your plan when your progress is already making the statement. Talking about goals is easy. Putting in the work and delivering results, that's the hard part. And that's where respect is earned. You could spend your energy trying to prove yourself with words, trying to gain approval or recognition, Or you could channel that same energy into your craft, your growth, your hustle. Because once your results show up, they speak louder than anything you could ever say. Real progress doesn't need to be advertised every step of the way. The truth is, when people see what you've built, when they witness your consistency, your discipline, your transformation, they'll understand. You won't have to announce your wins. Your growth, your achievements, your presence will make the statement for you. People may doubt you, question you, or even ignore you while you're building in silence. But that's okay. That silence is temporary. Because when the time is right, your results will be impossible to ignore. That's the moment when everything you've worked for speaks on your behalf. Let your focus be on the work, not the applause. Stay committed to the process. Stay grounded in your purpose. When it's all said and done, your success won't need a speech. It will be the proof. And proof is undeniable. Growth doesn't always happen in the spotlight. In fact, some of the most powerful transformations take place in silence, away from attention, away from applause. When you move in silence and build in private, you give yourself space to fail, to learn, and to grow without judgment. You're not performing for anyone. You're developing yourself for you, not for show. There's something deeply personal and sacred about building behind the scenes. While others are chasing validation or waiting for the world to notice them, you're putting in quiet hours. You're reading, studying, working out, practicing, sacrificing. You're refining your mindset, your habits, your vision. And because no one's watching, your focus becomes purer. There's no pressure to impress, only the desire to improve. The most solid foundations are built in silence. That's where you lay the bricks of discipline, self-respect, and resilience. That's where you start stacking small wins, day after day, that nobody sees but you. And eventually, the structure you've been building quietly begins to rise above the surface. That's when people start noticing. That's when they call it sudden success, even though you know the truth. There was nothing sudden about it. Moving in silence also protects your energy. Not everyone deserves to know your next move. Not every plan needs to be shared. Because when you keep things to yourself, you keep them safe from doubt, envy, and negativity. You give your dreams the privacy they need to grow. So don't rush to announce every step. Don't worry about being overlooked. Let people wonder what you're up to. Let them assume. Because one day, when the results are visible and undeniable, they'll realize that while they were talking, you were building. Quietly, steadily, unstoppably. In life, everyone has an opinion. People will talk, judge, assume, and criticize, whether you're winning, losing, or standing still. If you spend your time trying to respond to every opinion or explain yourself to every doubter, you'll waste the energy you need to actually grow. That's why one of the most valuable things you can learn is how to stay focused and not let outside voices control your direction. You don't owe the world an explanation for your journey. Not everyone will understand your vision, your pace, or your purpose. And that's okay. It's not their path to understand. When you give your energy to opinions, especially from people who haven't walked in your shoes, you lose momentum. You start questioning yourself. You start shrinking to fit into someone else's idea of what your life should look like. The truth is, most people who are quick to criticize aren't doing the work themselves. They speak from their own limitations, not yours. And if you let their voices get in your head, they'll slow you down, distract you, and eventually pull you away from what really matters. That's how dreams die. Not because you couldn't achieve them, but because you gave too much attention to people who didn't believe in them. Protecting your mind is a form of self-respect. You have to learn to guard your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Stay committed to your process, even when no one sees it. Stay confident in your decisions, even when they're misunderstood. Let people say what they want, because at the end of the day, your life is yours to live, not theirs to comment on. Keep moving forward, keep evolving, and remember, your silence in the face of doubt is often the loudest statement you can make. There's a quiet kind of confidence that doesn't need to be loud or flashy. It's the kind that comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of, without needing to shout it to the world. Humility and confidence are not opposites. They walk hand in hand. When you truly believe in yourself, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You let your presence, your consistency, and your energy do the work for you. Humility keeps you grounded. It reminds you that no matter how far you go, there's always more to learn, more to master, more to become. It keeps your ego in check and allows you to grow without arrogance. Confidence, on the other hand, is the fire inside that fuels your drive. It's the belief that you belong in the room, that you can overcome the challenge, that you can rise above the doubt. The most powerful people are often the ones who speak the least, not because they don't have anything to say, but because they don't feel the need to convince others. They let their actions do the talking. That's what it means to be quietly confident. You're not desperate for attention. You're not chasing approval. You're simply doing the work, staying consistent, and trusting the process. In a world that rewards loud voices and constant visibility, it takes real strength to move in silence, with humility and confidence. People may overlook you at first, but that's okay, because when your time comes, when the results show, when the growth is undeniable, they won't be able to ignore you. So stay calm, stay grounded, and keep building. Your quiet confidence will carry more weight than 1,000 empty words ever could.